demonstrate how to make the level 2 corsage with a bow. So you need 4 blooms, so you need one small one, and you need a medium-sized, and then 2 larger blooms. So here's my 2 larger. I'm going to go ahead and open them up. And then I'm going to wire these. You go ahead and you trim the stem almost all the way off. And when I wire them, I'm going to take my 26 gauge wire and I'm going to cut it in half. But when I cut it in half, I'm going to cut these at a diagonal because it makes a really nice sharp point on the end of my wire, and it makes it much easier to pierce my flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and pierce, and when I pierce it, I'm just piercing directly above these bottom sepals down here. And then I'll do one the other direction. So that they are cross pierced. Then I'm going to make those wires even, and then I'm going to bend them straight down. Like so. Then I'm going to floral tape. This, and I have to make sure that I cover my wires up here at the top. And it's usually easiest because floral tape sticks to floral tape if you pull this around and mash it together to get it to start, and then you'll start taping. Now, it is very challenging to make that first transition from wider at the calyx to this really skinny new stem. So it's okay if you have a little floral tape that is gapping just a little bit for just a second. So I've got a gap right there. I did not take my floral tape all the way to the bottom, but I've got a little gap right here. So I'm going to take my little leftover floral tape and I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to finish this off and make sure that it looks nice and clean. Like so. So I'm going to do that with my other carnations real quick. Fold those wires down. Floral tape them. Make sure that your wires are covered up here at the top. Let's do another one. So this design consists of 4 mini carnations. Make sure you stretch your tape nice and tight. Notice that I'm not taking my floral tape all the way up here to cover the calyx. I want some of that natural calyx to show. Like so. Now I'm going to wire my pittosporum leaves. So I'm going to choose about 5 leaves. I want some medium-sized leaves. If you don't have the option of any medium-sized leaves and your only option is one of these really large leaves, then you can take some scissors and you can trim the leaf down and make it much smaller and trim it to the size that you actually want to be able to use. Like so. So to wire these, you're going to take your wire and again cut it in half. And then I bend these over. I center my thumbnail in the middle of the wire, and then I bend it over my thumbnail like so to get that crimp started, and then I just pinch it right there at the top to end up with a really nice, smooth looking wire. And this is called the hairpin method. So now I'm going to take it and I'm going to, on the front side of the leaf, so the nice dark shiny side, and I'm going to pierce it on either side of the midrib and run it all the way through. Like so. So it'll kind of sit like this naturally. You're going to slide that down and see, there's where my wire is. Ideally, you want this somewhere between 1/3 of the way and 1/2 of the way. If it goes any lower and you pierce it down here, a lot of times it's going to break. So again, I'm going to get my floral tape started. I mash it against the other side of the floral tape to make sure that it's going to stay. And then I just start spinning. I hold onto that petiole and I just start spinning that leaf down. And floral tape that, like so. So I'm going to wire all of my leaves. Here is another method. I personally am not as good at this method, but I'm going to demonstrate it anyways. So this is called the stitch method. So you stitch on the back side of the leaf. So there's the front, so it's nice, dark, shiny. Here's the back side. I'm going to stitch it through, center my leaf on my wire, and then very carefully I'm going to bend that down like so. So it will look identical, but that is just another method of how to wire these. And then I'm going to take some more floral tape and then just floral tape it just like I just did. So I will bend that over, mash it against my floral tape on the other side, and then I'll just start spinning it. Like so. There's 2. I need 3 more. So I'm going to go back to my preferred hairpin method because it's just what I'm personally more comfortable with. I also have found that I feel like it's easier if one side of your hairpin is a little bit longer, so you can get one side started and then the other side so you don't have to try to pierce them both at the same time. It'll kind of hold your wire steady. So I pulled it all the way through. Now I'm going to floral tape it. Okay, so now we're going to start assembling it. So I'm going to start with my smallest bud, and then I'm going to take one of my leaves, and the front side of the leaf is going to go on the, or against the flower, like so. You don't want it to stick up much further than this flower if it does at all. So a little bit's okay, it can peak. This much would be wrong. You don't want it to overtake the size and shape of your arrangement. So usually if you line up where the stem is with the stem of the corsage, it's usually about right. And then I'm going to take a little floral tape and I'm going to floral tape this right there. So you're not actually going to see any of the floral tape, the original floral tape on that leaf. I want that completely covered, but it is okay that this wire shows on the back side. Then I'm going to floral tape this down to attach those together. Then I'm going to take my medium-sized bud. Now this one is going to go on top of my flower. I want a little bit of that green calyx showing right here. Green calyx can show. Then I'm going to floral tape that starting here. Like so. Now corsages can start to get a little heavy because you have so much wire in them. So occasionally you're going to come up here and cut out a couple pieces of that wire, not all of it, just some of it, to make it taper a little, and it'll make it overall much lighter and lighter weight. And then we're going to take another leaf and we're going to add this to the complete back side of the corsage, like so. So it's on the back. And then I'm going to floral tape this one in. Like so. And again, I don't want to see that original tape for the leaf. And I want them all lined up. Like so. I want them all lined up nice and straight. And remember, they're wired, so you can manipulate them just a little bit. Like that. Now your next two buds, or your next, yes, and they are going to be your wide open flowers. You're going to bend it right here at the base of the calyx where the stem meets. You do not bend it here and angle it. That's wrong. You're going to bend it here, and it needs to be a nice, clean bend like this. So I'm going to do that with both. Bend this one just a little bit. And then these two are going to go together. Now this is your focal area, so you want them to be nice and tight together. And I'm going to set these like this. So they don't go into this junction when I tape them in. They're not this high. If you put them this high, then your corsage is very short and squatty. And we don't want that. We want it to have a little bit more space to it. We want it to be a nice triangle. So we're going to pull those down just a little bit, and that's where we're going to floral tape them in. All right, like so. And again, you want that focal area to be nice and smooth together, like that. And this is the side view, and I need to take that floral tape up just a little bit higher. Like so. Now your next two leaves are going to go on the back side. And when we bend these, I'm bending them here like that. I don't want it to look like it has these big long arms. Sometimes you see it bent here instead, and then it looks like it has this big long arm leading up to the leaf, and we don't want that. We just want to see leaf on the back side. So I'm going to bend one to where it goes to the left, and it's going to go forwards, kind of follow the shape of that corsage, and then I'm going to bend another one, and it's going to go the right, and it will also cover on this side of the corsage, and then I'm going to floral tape those in. And again, I don't want any of that original floral tape on those leaves to show, because I want this to look like it has a spine, like a backbone, and nothing coming off of that backbone. Now, yet again, this is getting a little big, so I'm going to cut out a couple of these so that my stem is still going to be lightweight. And you want these leaves to support the shape of your design. You don't want it to overtake the shape of your design. So if these are too long, they're going to come out here and they will almost look like they are like on the symmetrical triangle where they make the flowers, the 4 and 5, too long up here. We don't want that. We want this to be a nice straight line on both sides. Then we're going to add one more leaf to the back side, and this leaf is going to go right here, and the purpose of this leaf is just to help cover up some of the mechanics on the back side. Make sure that all of your leaves, the front side of the leaf is facing towards the front of your corsage, so you don't want them to be in there backwards. Like so. So there's your main flower placements. And now we're going to make a bow. So you start to make your bow by floral taping half of a 26 gauge wire. So yet again, I fold it over to make a flag, mash it together because floral tape sticks to floral tape, and then I'm just going to start twisting it. The further down you pull on your extra floral tape, the less you're actually going to have to floral tape, because it doesn't have to overlap a million times just to be able to get it to go on. And I'm going to cut that extra little piece off because it's actually going to be more than I'll need. So I have this piece that is about probably 6 or 7 inches long, and I'm going to fold it in half like so. Now I'm going to make my bow. So this is just a number 3. It is a sheer type ribbon, a nylon sheer ribbon, and I'm going to turn this sideways so you can see it. I'm going to make a loop on this side, and then I'm going to make a loop on the left, and then I'll make a loop on the right, and then I'll make a loop on the left. Now this ribbon is not cut to size. More than likely your kids will be given extra ribbon, and that's because they need to know that they still have to trim this to size. Like so. And now I'm going to take my wire, or my floral taped wire, and I'm going to slide it in. And I'm going to pull that tight. You need to crunch the ribbon right in the center. It is not supposed to lay flat. And then you're going to twist it like a bread twist tie about 2 to 3 times so that your bow will look like this. Then you're going to take your corsage and you're going to slide apart your focal area right there. And then one side of your bow wire is going to thread through there to the back. The other one's going to go on the front, and then I'm just going to pull that down to where it is saddled across. And then I'm going to pull my bow down in here. And then I'm going to mash my focal area back together. So my bow is really, by doing it this method, you're not going to see that wire because it's going to be floral taped and it's going to blend, and it needs to be really tight down in there. And then I'm going to take my wire cutters and I'm going to cut this stem length about 1 inch long. And after I have cut it, then I'm going to floral tape this with the bow wires to make sure that they are going to be attached in really well. So I'm going to re-floral tape the stem, including the very bottom of the stem, because it is now all exposed wires and we don't want that to poke someone. There you go. And that is your completed corsage. Oh, you also want to lean it backwards just a little bit, because that way this is going to angle over the shoulder, and that just helps angle it over the shoulder just a little bit. As far as how big your bow is, you don't want your bow to overtake the size of your arrangement. So if it sticks way out here on either side, that's going to be way too large and it'll change the shape of your design. That's not what you're going for. And also, if you happen to have a wired ribbon or a ribbon that has the line in it to help make it to where it's bendable, you want to make sure that you always fluff these afterwards. Fluff your little bow loops to make sure that they are nice and fluffy. So this would be fluffy, this would be flat. We don't want flat loops, we want them nice and fluffy.